All right, what's happening, everybody? It is Monday the 29th on my watch here in Newport, Rhode Island. And busy week for us at Salem World. Off to St. Pete in a couple days for a little regatta in your neck of the wood, Ed. And kind of cool. We got some new classes. The Notice 15s are going to come and show up, and some thistles. So some small boats, North Sail, double-handed distance race we've got going on, the Bay Tour, and good turnout. So it looks like good solid breeze for the week, which is nice, but the temperature is just plummeting into New England weather. So it just, no matter what, we can't escape the cold, but it is what it is. At least we'll have breeze, which is pretty amazing. When in February, it's kind of hit or miss, right? And here we are in the spring. So looking forward to some solid racing down there. But
are you going to race, Dave?
Well, I'm going to be working. That's my my new role. We have a smaller team here because of the COVID thing, so we're trying to, tiptoe our way through this regatta series with fewer people. So I sort of, like I said last week, try my hand at amateur movie making. So I think I got the same role, and then Paul Todd in our photo boat, following people around and just kind of hoping for the best. But yeah, nobody's allowed inside the physical clubhouse itself, and I think St. Pete Yacht Club is pretty strict about the mask thing. So everybody's on as far as I know, everyone's on the main dock across the street from the club, and we have a new sponsor, Anchor Beer. So we're just gonna scatter coolers of beer all around the docks, and that's what the party's gonna be. I guess people make their own party. So
yeah, and that's interesting because probably the first thing that pops into people's heads is, why can't we go in the club? Everybody else is in the club, that sort of thing. But the club's not open for members inside the building either, except for we have a rather large and spread out bar area. So they've allowed that to be open, and then there's an outside patio with a bar and with food service that they allow that to be open. But that's been the way it is for members throughout the last sort of 9 months. And it's really pleasant when you go down there, but it's obviously they can't handle another 200 people all of a sudden in that type of environment. But you're right, the weekend looks like it's going to be great this weekend. We always wonder why more people don't come in the spring and the fall equinox. Living on the water here, you notice very clearly that those are the windy times of year. And sure enough, there's a cold front that all you folks that live up north are pushing down our way. And you're going to have a high in the mid 60s on Thursday and Friday, and with 15 to 25 knots of breeze from the northeast. So get ready for some fun.
Yeah, I remember that. In fact, it was 6 years ago when Helly Hansen came it was our first year as a title sponsor, and there was first time in my life there was ever frost advisories or something like that in St. Pete, and nobody had the gear. It was like wind chill bonanza. So Helly Hansen, I think they pretty much sold everything they brought down with them in boxes, and so it was they're like, wow, this is what it's always like. All right, this is going to be good. So.
Well, and that's why Martha comes down every year from Team One Newport and supports the event with her presence, because she does well.
Yeah. So the other class that we've got, maybe Ed, we can get you down there, is something like 40 A-cats or so sailing off the beach. We've got a mix of foilers and standards, Ben Hall and his crew, and all the locals and stuff. So I think it should be kind of an exciting weekend for the A-cat guys.
It'll be exciting because that wind direction, it can get quite bumpy, and A-cats are notorious for enjoying smoother water. So
well, it's tough getting off the beach, no doubt. So,
yeah, well, the beach is nicely protected so that they can come off the beach and be smooth there, but very quickly, as soon as they get out into 10 feet of water, they're going to have some good waves.
Nice. All right. Well, hopefully, if you're going to be out watching on the motor yacht, if you're putting around, hope to see you out there. We'll look for us.
Well, I don't know. It sounds pretty cold. I might be by my fireplace.
Fireplace in St. Pete. Wow.
Absolutely. We got to have fires down here. But
hey, Dave, I think you got some expert commentary coming from Ed here.
So, yeah. Well, so Jonathan, where were you last week? We missed you, and what have you been up to?
Yeah. It's been an interesting time here. My daughter had her spring break, and so she came back home with two of her friends. So that was really great to sort of have our family together, for the first time in a while. And yeah, no, I guess the big news here in Seattle, one of our sailing icons, Derek Campbell, passed away recently. And we had a memorial service for him yesterday. So all the sailing royalty and otherwise from Seattle showed up. It was really a great event. Derek was one of those people that was a very good sailor, never made it to the elite level, but it's just an absolute bedrock of the local sailing scene. Did a lot to promote local racing. In fact, he was the one that started 49ers coming into America. So sailed many years in 505s and had some big boats as well. But he'll be missed. So that was how we spent this weekend.
Yeah, that's a bummer. What was his, so what the highlight of his career? Is there anything that kind of stands out?
He had some good. He was always good from lasers right on up. He was a solid sailor. I think his highlight from my standpoint was when he beat Charlie and I in one of the early 49er regattas that was here in Seattle with quite a competitive fleet. So he and Scott Smith kicked our ass. What can I say?
How old was he?
I think he would have been around 60.
All right.
Way too early.
Yeah. But we lost one, I guess, on this coast as well, Dr. Robin Wallace, who most of you guys know, the voice of the Baird Island yachting. But that's one of the things that incredible career and good input here locally. But the next generation to emulate. Yep. And Gary, how about you? What in your neck of the woods is happening?
Well, first of all, Dr. Robin Wallace was quite the icon around Newport, and anytime you heard his soothing voice on the radio, you knew you were going to have a good race course and a good regatta. And he was certainly a mentor to a lot of people at the St. George's School. So Robin was in his 80s. He'll be missed, but a lot of people liked him. We had an I-420 regatta here this weekend. And, these kids are 14, 15, 16 years old, maybe up to 17. So pre-college, high school kids. They sure are good at sailing. And Annapolis threw a lot of heavy air and weather at them. And, but it made my heart feel good that they look good. There's some good kids coming along the way. Anyway, something to look forward to. And I'm sure some of these names we're going to hear a lot of in the near future.
I feel the same way when you see kids that have really, not mastered sailing, but they know how to sail their boats. And you just see that you're like, okay, the future of our sport is that part of our sport is going to be good.
Yeah. And I'm an advocate of the I-420, where you have to learn a bit about tuning and rigs. And, a Club 420 is nice for boat handling and starts and stuff. But, if you want to do well in Olympic competition, as Jonathan well knows, you got to be able to get your rig tuned, and I-420 does that.
Yeah, I would also point out that the 29er has some rig tuning and also has, some more advanced boat handling techniques, you might say. So it depends what you're tuning for, Gary. If you want to race 470s in the Olympics, then for sure 420 is a great training platform. For those kids that want to race 49ers, maybe the 29er is a better route.
Yeah, you gotta wonder what could be the future in 2028. Will the 470 maybe will it be there ever again? That's it, last hurrah.
Yeah,
probably not.
Who knows about any of the classes now?
I'm nervous about the offshore double-handed event. I'm getting bad vibes.
Yeah, what's the situation there?
Well, the IOC, there's a IOC member, Sir Ming from Singapore, who seems to be quite against the whole concept, and he's one of the people voting. And I'm nervous that he wants to kill off the thing. I'll defer to Ed and Jonathan here, Dave, but I think that having a long distance offshore double-handed race in the Olympic Games is a nice shot in the arm, something that people can follow all time zones, 24 hours a day. And it's a part of the sport that so many people participate in, keel boats, that's been missing from Olympic competition. So I think it would be really an important thing. And I hate to see it killed over some political mumbo jumbo that I really don't understand.
So without dragging us into the politics and the weeds of this decision, it almost seemed that it was a foregone thing. It was a done deal.
Well, not to belabor it here, but the World Sailing, the member national authorities voted 76% in favor to be able to do this. So that's a really strong statement that you have 3/4 of the membership wanting to go about it. And the explosion in interest in double-handed long distance racing is astounding. The ORC class in Europe had something like 2,300 people register to do this in the last year. And regattas are popping up all over the United States, in fact, around the world, in anticipation of it. So it seems like it's hit a good nerve chord.
Mm. When will we know?
Well, I was talking to Stan Honey on Friday last week, and he thinks we might hear some news in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And so the question is, well, what can we do to kind of convince the IOC that this is a good thing and the sport wants it and the sport needs it? So there's a lot of things being done to generate some noise to convince them to vote in favor.
Keep it noisy. All right. Well, I was thinking the other day that, well, actually it goes back to yesterday. It was blowing a gale here. We had a new fleet member to the Dragon Flight 95 group. And this guy, he's sailed around the world. He's done the Cup. He's done yada yada. He shows up. He's got these like Stars and Stripes sweatpants on, and it's cold, and he's fully underdressed for weather, which means he's not prepared. But there he is. His brother, I guess, had given him a boat. This guy named Brad Reed, and so this guy Ken shows up. He rocks up to the dock. 3 minutes in the boat. He wins the first race, or I guess he was second, and then won the first race. Second the first race, won the next, and then cratered from there as it got more complicated. But man, why not remote control racing in the Olympics? I don't, they talk about low equipment cost, international diversity. What can stop that from happening?
That is the worst idea ever, Dave.
Oh my goodness!
But man, yeah, the fleet continues to grow up here. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And Ed, what's happened in your neck of the woods? And then I'm going to tease you one more time about this Hall of Fame thing.
Well, thanks. No, down here, we're just getting ready for all you guys to come and visit this weekend. This past week here was a little more quiet. Back to it's spring break, so there's a lot of activity on the water, but it's not organized events. And you really noticed how many people either were visiting or not working last week. It was impressive how much was going on the water.
Spring break time, yeah. Well, so Gary, I passed along to you. I finally took a tour of the National Salem Museum, which I think, let's those who haven't seen the building yet, it is a frame of itself, but quite a bit of work going on there. So that was pretty cool.
Well, thanks for going to take a look. It's going to open in May of 2022, so we're a little over a year out. And I feel really good about it. We're getting there on the project. We've raised $6 million, and we have a little over $2 million to go to get across the finish line. So hopefully we can pull that off in the next year.
Yeah,
that's
all
right.
Right. Well, so on the subject of Hall of Fames, sorry. So we teased this last week. Sorry, Ed. This is the last time we'll talk about it, but this is your moment. So, but Gary, since you took the time to make this, I'm going to take the time to sort of, for those who regularly watch this show, to watch the long career of Ed Baird.
Cool.
So yeah.
If success is the measure of a man, then in the sailing world, you can count Ed Baird at the top. Ed grew up in Florida around the water, sailing opties and dinghies and finding success in lasers, winning the Laser World Championship in 1980, the last American to do so. Ed went on to write a book about laser sailing that is still in print today.
We had a lot of good people in our yacht club and our sailing program here in St. Petersburg, and I was just around them a lot, and it just ended up that we were, as a group, actually okay. You know, that was the magic that got us to good places.
The 1995 Rolex Yachtsman of the Year is routinely described as ever enthusiastic and ever optimistic. Over his career, Ed has found success from J24s to TP52s, but Ed's interest in match racing had a peculiar beginning.
I actually went to the Bermuda Gold Cup as a commentator way back when, and before I had ever match raced, I went there and did an ESPN show about the event and watched Coots and Gilmore and Chris Dixon and all those guys go sail. And I looked at it and I said, this looks like a lot of fun. I think I could do this.
With his newfound enthusiasm for match racing, success quickly followed.
Match racing just became a natural. I understood the rules pretty well. I understood the tight situations.
Really puts a highlight on good crew work on the boat and, getting off the starting line well. So we have a lot of fun with that.
Robust competition on the water between Ed and Russell Coots led to an invitation to join Team New Zealand as a sparring partner and coach for their 1995 America's Cup campaign in San Diego. The team went on to sweep Dennis Conner and his team 5-0.
I had met Russell Coots at that Laser Worlds, and I had been racing against him for several years and on the match race circuit, and we had a good back and forth between us. And when they were putting together their team, we actually ran into each other one day at the Admiral's Cup in Cowes. Walked around the corner of a building and ran into each other. And he said, "What are you doing for the Cup?" And I said, "I don't know." And he goes, "Well, you should come work for me." And I was like, "Okay."
With 11 teams competing to challenge New Zealand in 2000, Ed teamed up with the New York Yacht Club and the Young America campaign. It was a team rich with experience and potential.
We had a really tough set of circumstances. The boat broke on the roughest day of sailing that we had in the entire Cup cycle. And we happened to be on the outer course that day, which was rougher than anywhere else. And we just happened to be in a position where we hit some waves the wrong way and the boat failed.
For the 2003 America's Cup Challenger Trials, Ed shifted his expertise to the broadcast booth as a TV analyst. This opportunity gave Ed a surprising new perspective on America's Cup racing.
Watching the races and listening on board, you got a feeling for what was going on within all these teams. And it just gave me a huge amount of confidence on the things that I understood well. But it was a real eye-opening experience to be able to watch every race from every team.
For the 2007 Cup Challenge, Ed teamed up with Ernesto Bertarelli, Brad Butterworth, and the Alinghi campaign to challenge Team New Zealand. This well-funded and deeply talented team beat New Zealand 5-2 in a dramatic series, one of the most memorable in America's Cup finishes.
This is too close to call the seventh match. What a way to finish this extraordinary.
Blowing 14 looked like a pretty just straightforward sail down the run to the finish line. But before we finished, we had about a 120-degree shift and they got past us. So fortunately, they still had the penalty to do and didn't quite get it done, and we crossed ahead.
Ed Baird has been fortunate to spend his entire career as a professional sailor. Sailing runs deep in the Baird family. Ed's sons are competitive sailors, with Nick named the 2019 College Sailor of the Year from Yale University. He's been competing with his father's old teammate, Tom Stark, aboard the IC-37 Rush. These days, it's his family's success in the water that truly enriches Ed Baird.
It's been fabulous to see my sons get it going in the sport. And, my wife, who doesn't really sail, has been around the sport so much that she really understands it pretty well now. And just the whole family atmosphere of it, we've all helped each other do better. And I think that's been a real special thing.
All right. Well, thanks.
Bravo, Ed.
Well, thank you guys, and thank you, Gary. For
Bravo,
putting
Gary.
that. That's just, I mean, what a cool thing.
All right.
Yeah, I love the footage. I mean, how hard is it to go dig around and get all that? Gary?
It took several days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It becomes a jigsaw puzzle. But luckily, Ed's been involved in a lot of good stuff over the years, and Ed helped a little bit get some of that older stuff into lasers and his family, and I thought one of the really cool things was his son getting the Yale College Sail of the Year, which is pretty impressive in itself, sailing with Tom Stark. So I thought that was a nice little period to put on it, that the legacy continues here.
Nice.
Yeah. Tom was a great teammate with Young America, and of course on his own projects that I used to sail a bit with him. And we've spent some time actually cruising together in the Bahamas on his Grand Banks 72, which is really a special pleasure. But yes, it's wonderful to see my boys out racing boats. Jonathan, I missed you 2 weekends ago, but I got to go race with Ty on board on a J70, and it's the first time we've actually ever raced in anger together as teammates. And wow, he did a really nice job trimming and looking around the course and filling in the gaps that I couldn't see and stuff. And it was really fun. And it's just it's as we all know, it's such a great family sport. It's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, not to jump in, but one of the coolest things about sailing is it does connect the generations. And when you think about it in our lives, you get 5 generations. You get to know your grandparents' parents, your siblings and peers, and then your kids and grandkids. And what other sport can you do that? One of the great joys is taking our grandkids out sailing, and watching them come alive with it. It's very cool.
Yeah, very cool. Well, that I guess so. The America's Cup Hall of Fame has been sort of brought into the National Sailing Museum. So I guess as of May 2022, your place will be cemented there in Newport, and so people can come and see the film, I suppose. Gary, is that part of it?
Yeah, there'll be all kinds of films.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if you want to feel humble, look at the names on that list. I thought, well, what am I doing here? It's extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. And I was just looking through the other day of, just the more recent folks, but just teammates of mine, I was shocked to see, Pete Montgomery, who just came in with me doing the commentary, but, John Marshall, Ernesto Bertarelli, Rolf Rolick, Doug Peterson, Grant Simmer, Murray Jones, Warwick Fleury, Dean Phipps, Mike Drummond, Simon Dobney, Brad Butterworth, Tom Schnackenberg, Peter Blake, Russell Coots. Those were all people that I raced with over the years. And then you get, guys like you, Gary, and Tom Whidden and Buddy Melgis, all people who have been in the sport at an incredible level. Let alone the fact that, Lipton and Von Beek and all these guys, it's just an amazing group, and obviously it'll continue to grow in the future. So it's pretty special that it's out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Deed of gift race around the Isle of Wight. That's the course. You got to win 5.
Deed of gift race in what kind of vessel?
You mean
Same
in
boat.
America's Cup? The
Same
75?
boat. You got to race around the Isle of Wight every day. That's the course.
Well, you'd certainly know about it. I don't know if these boats would make it around on some days.
Maybe they'd have to make them stronger.
Yeah, exactly. Now that would be an impressive course, and it wouldn't take them too long. I'm sure they'd set some records.
Yeah, it's kind of in the right time zone. Gary's not impressed.
I've been around the Isle of Wight. I've done that race 5 or 6 times over the years in different boats. It's an intriguing race course, no doubt about it. But those boats, I think you'd want to beef them up a little bit. They seem a little fragile and 25 knots. And I've done that race where you're drifting and you got the anchor out. And I've done that race where, man, it is blowing really hard, so a lot can happen there.
Well, the Solent is even inside is such an amazing place because you have a 15 knot forecast, And, that's plus or minus a little bit. So it ends up being 17. And then you got 4 knots of current in some places going upwind or downwind. And all of a sudden it's changed to, 21, 22 knots of breeze going if the current's with or against the wind. And then maybe it's down to 10 if it's going with the wind. And, things change so quickly. It's not like you're going to go out and change headsels on the AC 75.
No.
So it could be very
Quick one.
Yeah, I'd say thumbs down. I think once the boats get separated, it's sort of like it'll be pretty boring to watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get all 8 of them out there and see what
I mean,
happens.
I like the idea of racing around the Isle of Wight,
Yeah.
those boats. I got a quick story to tell you about the Queen's Cup in Cowes. So one year we won it, and this guy comes down to the boat looking like he was from Downton Abbey and gives Ted Turner, our skipper, the owner, 4 invitations to the prize giving. And Ted, as only Ted can do, says, well, wait a minute. We got 16 people in the boat. You only gave us 4. So Ted hands him back the invitation, says, either we're all coming or none of us are coming. The guy goes off and comes back about 45 minutes later with 16 invitations. So we all got to go to the prize giving.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. Either we're all going or none of us are going.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well, and important too, because these teams are, every piece has to work well. And
I mean,
you
what's
can't-
more important, the bowman or the tactician? You got to have both.
or the computer programmer now. I mean, you got to
Yeah.
have it all. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It doesn't matter how good you are at your job. If the other pieces don't fit, it doesn't happen.
Absolutely true.
you-
The sailors
read-
are a small part of it in a way.
Yeah.
What
Press
do
that
we got
button, the
here,
thing
Dave?
doesn't
Are you
work.
showing us something or?
Nope. I think unless it's tweaking out, but who knows? But anyway, that's probably a good sign to wrap it up today. I've got to get ready and get out the door. So all good
See you
here.
next week.
Thanthat again, guys. That was awfully nice of you.
Yeah.
Great.
All right.
Bravo.
We'll
Bravo.
let that one
Done.
go from now on.
Okay.
All right.
You're not
Yeah.
done yet, Ed.
See you later.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.